Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtoto to the Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtoto to the Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Krishna. Okay. Now I'm going to try to do something here that we haven't done. Today is the disappearance day of Sri Ramchandra Kaviraj and the appearance day of Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami. But we didn't hear about anything about either of them this morning. So if you allow me, I'm going to try to find in this database the content. Where would this be? Should have brought my iPad, but I forgot. Oh, here we go. All right. Can't do it. But we'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow. What is that? No, there's a book written by Mahanidhi Swami, part of which is the Samadhis books. I don't know if we have a hard copy over there. See if you can find it. If we can, I'll read that section. Otherwise, we'll just proceed. I should have thought of it before.
Looks like they took everything out but the Bhagavad Gita.
All right, don't worry about it. We'll do it tomorrow or Monday. Okay, let's see. That's okay. Where is this? Okay, that's all right too. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. On the 7th day of January 2026 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 15 entitled The Yoga of the Supreme Person. Text 17, is that right? Text 17 on page 610. Uttama Purushas Tvanyaha Paramatmeti Udaritaha Yo Lokatrayam Avishya Vibharti Avyaya Ishvaraha Uttama Purushastvanyah Paramatme Chudaritaha Yo Lokatrayam Avishya Vibhartyam Vyaya Ishvaraha Uttama Purushastvanyah Paramatme Chudaritaha Yo Lokatrayam Avishya Vibhartyam Vyaya Ishvaraha Uttamah Purushastvanyah Paramatme Chudaritaha Yo Lokatrayam Avishya Vibhartyam Vyaya Ishvaraha Uttama Purushastvanya Paramatme Chudaritaha Yo Lokatrayam Avishya Vibhartyam Vyaya Ishvaraha. Go ahead. Uttama Purushastvanyah Paramatme Chudaritaha Yo Lokatrayam Avishya Vibhartyam Vyaya Ishvaraha. Luis. Uttama Purushastvanyah Paramatme Chudaritaha Yo Lokatrayam Avishya Vibhartyam Vyaya Ishvaraha. Anyone online?
Uttamaha Purushastvanya
Uttama Purushastvanya
Paramatmeti Udaritaha
Paramatme Chudaritaha
Yo Lokatrayam Avishya
Yo Lokatrayam Avishya
Vibhartya Vyaya Ishvaraha.
Vibhartyam Vyaya Ishvaraha. Okay. Uttamaha, the best. Purushaha, personality. Two, but anyaha, another. Parama Atma, the supreme self. Iti, thus. Udaritaha, is said Yaha, who, Loka, of the universe, Trayam, the three divisions, Avishya, entering, Vibharti, is maintaining, Abhyaya, inexhaustible, Ishvaraha, the Lord. Okay, before I read this translation, I'll read the previous one because the context is important. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible, means they don't fall down. Translation to 17. Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. Report. The idea of this verse is very nicely expressed in the Katha Upanishad 2.2.13 and Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.13. It is clearly stated there that above the innumerable living entities, some of whom are conditioned and some of whom are liberated, there is the Supreme Personality, who is Paramatma. The Upanishadic verse runs as follows. Nityo nityam chaitanas chaitananam eko bahunam hyovadadhati kaman tamatnastam yena pashyanti dhiras tesham shanti shasvati netaresham. Katha Upanishad 2.2.13. The purport is that amongst all the living entities, both conditioned and liberated, there is one supreme living personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who maintains them and gives them all the facility of enjoyment according to a different work. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in everyone's heart as the Paramatma. A wise man who can understand Him is eligible to attain perfect peace, not others. Om Jnana Timirandasya. Oh boy, can't believe it. All right. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and to all members of Sri Parampara. So, when in the 16th verse, Krishna is speaking about two classes of beings, and he's talking two classes of individual beings, spirit souls, the fallible and the infallible. Remember, that means those who fall and those who don't fall. So those who don't fall are those who are eternally there in the spiritual world with Krishna. They don't come down here. We have fallen, therefore we're called fallible or fallible. So, but he's not speaking about God Himself here. In the material world, every living entity is fallible because they've fallen. And in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible because, for the most part, they don't fall. But then there's, of course, the above them all is the Supreme Lord Himself. And that's what this verse is about. Besides these two, there's the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. So that's the Paramatma. Krishna expands into different plenary expansions. Plenary means full. They're full, as fully as powerful as Krishna is, but they don't display all the powers that Krishna has. So there's these Purusha avatars. First is Karanodakashaya Vishnu. Karana means cause. So he's laying in the causal ocean. That's the Uday. That's the Karana. Udakashaya means laying in the Udaka. Udaka means an ocean. So in the Karana ocean, the causal ocean. This Mahavishnu is laying there. We have a nice painting right in the corner there. And he's lying there and breathing in and out. And in his external breathing, during that one breath, all the universes come out and they expand. He expands into another manifestation or plenary expansion into each and every universe called Garbho Dakashaya Vishnu. Now Garbha means fetus. Now the reason called a fetus is because it is in this enclosed universe. And within there's water that's created from his own perspiration that he's lying on. So he's lying on the Garbha ocean, the Garbha Udaka, Shahi. And this is the famous, from his navel grows this lotus. And on that lotus, when it's manifested, Brahma appears. Lord Brahma appears. He doesn't have any idea how he got there. It's described, I think, in the second canto. And he's just puzzled because it's all dark, and so what to do? Well, I got it. The only thing I have to work with, he figures, is this lotus. So he tries to go down the lotus to find out his origin, but he fails because he's not realized yet. He can't realize God. So he goes back up to lotus, sits there, and waits. And he hears this word 3 times. Tapa, tapa, tapa. Tapa means austerity. So from that, because he's so intelligent, he has 4 heads, he says, well, I got to meditate, perform austerity. So he meditates for millions of years. And then he's enlightened from within. Krishna actually, I think, through the flute sound, he enlightens him from within. Here's the Gayatri mantra, I forget all these things. And with that knowledge, this is mentioned right in the Bhagavatam, in the first verse. It says, Janma jasya yaton vayada tadatashtarte svabhigyasarat. That Krishna is from Janma, he's creator of everything. And he's completely independent. Janma yaton vayada tadatashtarte svabhigyasarat. Sarat means independent. Tene Brahma Vadaya Adikaviye. Now most devotees think of Brahma, that's Brahma. Now this is Brahma with a short A at the end, long and short, very important. The Brahma means Vedic knowledge. Brahma is another word for that. Vrida, in the heart, Adikaviye, the original intelligent person. That's Brahma. Adikaviye Muya. So he enlightened him in the heart with all knowledge. Otherwise, where is he going to get the knowledge? So it's through the heart, knowledge of how to create and how to, manage the universe, because he's got a big responsibility. So that's what that's about. So the Paramatma, now this Paramatma is the 3rd expansion from Garbhodakshay Vishnu, is this Chirodakashay. Now Chir is, we know what Kir is, right? Condensed milk. So because this incarnation, there's a special planet. There's a Vaikuntha planet within the material world. The Shweta Dvip is the white planet because there's milk. The milk ocean is on there. And that's where Kira Udaka, the ocean of milk, this Kira Dakashai is lying there on Shesha. And he expands within every atom and within every heart as the supersoul. So that's how these Purusha avatars are conducting the whole material world. And Krishna's free to just play his flute and enjoying the loka. And that's why it's said, Prabhupada would always quote this verse, Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, natatsamastya bhirikascha drishyate, parasya shakti vividhaya vishuyate swabhavati jnana bala kriyacha. So this is described in Krishna. It says, Natasya karyam, he has no duties to perform. He doesn't have to do anything for the creation, maintenance, and destruction of this universe. Why? It's described in this verse. Karanam chavidyate. It's known that he doesn't have any duties to perform. Karanam tatsamasya birikascha drishyate. There's no other living entity equal to him, equal to or greater. Birikascha drishyate. Then here's the line that Prabhupada wrote: Parasya shaktir vividhaya vishuyate. He has all different kinds of energies. That's mentioned here. These energies, both material and divine, are Krishna's energies. Bhuma apa onanavayo kangmano bureda chavilana, chapter 7. This is what this world is made of: earth, water, fire, air, ether, progressively subtle. Mind, intelligence, and ego. They're all inanimate. None of them are conscious. The conscious being is the soul, you see. That's in the next verse. Besides these inferior energies, there is superior energy, which is the jivas, who are sustaining this whole material world. And we have our own little universe. Each body is a little universe. Prabhupada said this one time, And it's only being sustained and working because we're inside. Death means it becomes dysfunctional, and therefore you have to leave. So the soul leaves the body turns to earth and, whatever, back into the original elements. But the soul goes on, and accompanied by the mind, intelligence, and ego. That subtle body does not perish when the gross body does. So this is all. This is explained at the beginning. You remember he gave this analogy of the fragrance of a garden, going from one to another. How did he describe it? He's very nice description of. The living entity this is text 8. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another via that subtle body. Just as air carries aromas. So it's like there's a certain fragrance, if we've been acting nonsensically, it's not going to be a very nice fragrance, so to speak. Thus he takes one kind of body and again quits and takes another. So that's hinted at here. So how, then you get a certain kind of eye, ear, tongue, nose, all these senses grouped around the mind. But it's not assurance to get a human body, obviously. So this is going on. We want to try to stop that process. Now this verse in the purport, Prabhupada would often quote. I remember this from way back. One of the first verses I memorized was this verse. At least the first two lines. The second two lines are not so famous. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yobadadati kaman. So nityo is singular. Nityanam is plural, see? Chetanas is singular. Chetananam is plural. So there are countless eternal living entities, and there is also amongst all of that's the plural, nityanam chetananam, there is one, eko, that's in second line, conscious eternal living entity, who is providing all of the necessities for the others. That's God. Where does the air come from? Where does our food come? And where does everything come that we need? It's coming from Krishna. This is a variety of the material energy. We need that to live. So at every moment we're dependent on the mercy of the Lord. And we should be very thankful. And then the rest of the verse describes who can actually realize Him. This purport has been revised because the rest of the little purport that comes after the verse is actually the translation of the verse. And so that has been changed into a formal translation with quote marks without the purport. The purpose, it means the meaning is, and then we started with, among all the living entities, both conditioned and living, there is one supreme. It's an exact translation. And then a facility of enjoyment. The Supreme Personality is situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. A wise man who can understand Him is eligible to attain perfect peace, but not others. So this is invitation to become self-realized so we can understand what's going on. All right, let's go on. Yasmat charamati ham aksharad apichotamaha atosmi loke vedecha patita purushottamaha. Krishna is speaking, because I am transcendental beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that Supreme Person, the one who has entered all the three worlds and is maintaining them. Purport. No one can surpass the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, neither the conditioned soul nor the liberated soul. He is therefore the greatest of personalities. Now it is clear here that the living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are individuals. The difference is that the living entities, either in the conditioned state or in the liberated state, cannot surpass in quantity the inconceivable potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is incorrect to think of the Supreme Lord and the living entities as being on the same level or equal in all respects. There is always the question of superiority and inferiority between their personalities. The word Uttama is very significant. No one can surpass the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Uttama. Uttama means supreme, right? Purusha Uttama, the Supreme Personality. Uttama, supreme. The word loke signifies, quote, in the Paurusha Agama, the Smriti scriptures, as confirmed in the Nirukti dictionary, this is Sanskrit dictionary, Lokyate Vedarto Nena. The purpose of the Vedas is explained by the Smriti scriptures. The Supreme Lord, in His localized aspect, now the Vedas culminate in the Vedanta Sutra, in the aphorisms that give the essence of the knowledge of the Vedas. That's what Vedanta Sutra means. And that Vedanta Sutra is explained in the Smriti scripture known as the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is the pinnacle explanation of the essence of all the Vedic knowledge, you see. And right at the beginning it's describing, what is it? The second verse. In this work, we're kicking out all of the cheating religions, right? So, and it is compiled by Vedavyas in his maturity, and it is understood by those Nimatsaranam Satam Vedyam Vastavam Atra Vastu. It gives the real essence of the essence of being, of existence. Vedyam Vastavam Atra Vastu. Shivadam bestows all good fortune. Tapatayon Mulanam, and uproots the threefold miseries. You know, this is some of the benefits of the Srimad Bhagavatam. All right, this I think the third paragraph. The Supreme Lord, in his localized aspect of Paramatma, is also described in the Vedas themselves. The following verse appears in the Vedas, Chandogya Upanishad 8.12.3. Tavad esha samprasado smach charirat samutaya param jyoti rupam sampadya svena rupena binispadyate sauttama purushaha. The supersoul coming out of the body enters the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. Then in his form, in his form, he remains in his spiritual identity. That supreme is called the Supreme Personality. This quote, close quote, this means that the Supreme Personality is exhibiting and diffusing his spiritual effulgence, which is the ultimate illumination. That Supreme Personality also has a localized aspect as a Paramatma. By incarnating himself as the son of Satyavati and Parashara, he explains the Vedic knowledge as Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva is also considered an empowered incarnation of Krishna. So he's talking about the spiritual effulgence. So he's talking about Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan here. You know, the three elements. Huh? The absolute truth. The three manifestations of the absolute truth. So this is Krishna's repeatedly doing this in the Bhagavad Gita. He's glorifying himself so that we can understand who he is and repeat that glorification and surrender to it. Understand that he's always with us. Krishna is always with us. He has been with us since time immemorial, but we haven't realized it. But understanding that the importance and the position of the Supreme Person, and understanding that he's our best friend. Remember at the end of the 5th chapter, that very important verse, Bhoktaram yagyatapasang sarvaloka maheshwadam suridam sarvabhutanam gyatamam shantim richati. So Bhoktaram yagyatapasang, it said, one who understands, or those who understand, that I am the ultimate enjoyer of all sacrifices and austerities. Yagyatapasam. Sarvaloka Mahaishwaram. I am the great controller of all the planets and all the universes. So this is a very exalted person, awe-inspiring. But then he says something very important. Suridam Sarvabhutanam. And I am the best friend of every living entity. Oh, what a relief, you know. Here's this powerful person, you know, can crush us like in anything. But no, he's our best friend. And, you know, and a father, he's the source of it. So someone who understands the greatness of the Lord and also understands the intimate relation we have with the Lord as a best friend can really attain peace. It's like understanding that, you know, the most powerful person in the world is protecting me, is my best friend. And he's always with me. It's not that I have to call him or he may be far away. He's right there all the time. So that's you can imagine what a great sense of solace that would be. You could live at every moment like that. Okay, I'm doing something. You know, I'm doing this service, and the Super Soul is there. He's been giving me knowledge how to do it. Right? He just said knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. And he's my best friend, and he's giving me all kind of intelligence how I can achieve the greatest goal in life. You know, beyond. You know. So that kind of understanding is what the Bhagavad Gita is all about. Glorification of the Lord, and then understanding our intimate relationship with Him. Both are there. Okay, I guess text 19. Yeah. Yo mam evam asamudho janati purushottamam sasarvavid bhajati mam sarvabhavena Bharata. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, without doubting, is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. Purport. There are many philosophical speculations about the constitutional position of the living entities and the Supreme Absolute Truth. Now, in this verse, the Supreme Personality of Godhead clearly explains that anyone who knows Lord Krishna to be the Supreme Person is actually the knower of everything. The imperfect knower goes on simply speculating about the absolute truth. But the perfect knower, without wasting his valuable time, engages directly in Krishna consciousness, the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Throughout the whole of the Bhagavad Gita, this fact is being stressed at every step. And still, there are so many stubborn commentators on the Bhagavad Gita who consider the Supreme Absolute Truth and the living entities to be one and the same. Vedic knowledge is called Shruti, learning by all reception. One should actually receive the Vedic message from authorities like Krishna and his representatives. Here, Krishna distinguishes everything very nicely, and one should hear from this source. Simply to hear like the hogs is not sufficient. One must be able to understand from the authorities. It is not that one should simply speculate academically. One should submissively hear from the Bhagavad Gita that these living entities are always subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyone who is able to understand this, according to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, knows the purpose of the Vedas. In this case, the word purpose means purport. I've explained it before. You consult the Oxford English Dictionary, not an ordinary dictionary, and you find that the word purpose, you go down and down, can also mean purport. And Prabhupada used it here in that way, as he does in other places. Knows the purport of the Vedas. No one else knows the purport of the Vedas. The word bhajati is very significant. In many places, the word bhajati is expressed in relationship with the service of the Supreme Lord. If a person is engaged in full Krishna consciousness in the devotional service of the Lord, it is to be understood that he has understood all the Vedic knowledge. In the Vaishnava Parampara, it is said that if one is engaged in the devotional service of Krishna, then there is no need for any other spiritual process for understanding the Supreme Absolute Truth. He has already come to the point because he is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. He has ended all preliminary processes of understanding. But if anyone, after speculating for hundreds of thousands of lives, does not come to the point that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that one has to surrender there, all the speculation for so many years and lives is a useless waste of time. So we may recall, back in the 10th chapter, there are these 5 essential verses. The first verse, Krishna declares himself to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattak sarvam pravartate. Iti madva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. I am the source of everything. Everything is coming from me. He gives that, he repeats himself. And one is from his point of view and one is from your point of view. You don't know who did it, but you see everything. Oh, everything has come from Krishna. You see? And Krishna says, I am creating everything. You see the difference? Iti madva bhajantim. Those who know this, who have faith in this truth, worship me with all their heart. Iti bhajante mam buddha. They're intelligent. Buddha bhava samanvita. Bhava samanvita, with full consciousness and intelligence. How do they do that? Mat chitta, mat gata prana, bodhiyantak parasparam, katayantas chamam nityam tushyanti chadamanti cha. Very interesting verse. So the first thing is that you put your consciousness on him. That's what we're all doing. We chant Hare Krishna, we're doing all these things. And the whole purpose is to smartavyak satatam Vishnu, vismartavyo najatu chit. This is the verse describing that whatever we do in Krishna consciousness serves this central principle. Always remember Krishna and never forget him. You see, always remember. Smartavya means remember, satatam Vishnu or Krishna, vismartavya, and never at any moment forget him. Sarva Vidi Niserakshu. In the Vedas, all instructions, all the Vidis are Eti or Eva Kinkara, are servants of these two principles. In other words, you come to the Mangalarti, you see the deities, you're remembering Krishna, you're seeing him. and you chant the glorification of his great servants, you're remembering Krishna. He's very pleased to hear glorification of his servants. So you think about it, whatever we do, even some preparing the tray, the Tulsi tray and the Guru Puja tray. Well, who is that? You're praying for the Guru Puja of the Guru, who's giving you the essence of everything, which is Krishna. So everything comes to Krishna. So then the next verse in that series, he says, so that's the first two verses. There's 4 verses. So the first one is, I am God. I am the source of everything. You see, those who know this well, those who know this worship me with all their heart. How do they do it? They think of me, etc. Then what is Krishna's response? Tesham satati yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamapi antade. We're just learning about the super soul. So here Krishna says, to them who are always linked to me, their consciousness to me in various ways, especially by coming together and discussing me. But the Dami Buddhi Yogantam, I give them the intelligence by which they can come to me. How? He just described in this chapter, 15:15, right? Mattak smatir jnanam apohanangsham. I am situated in everyone's heart as a super soul. If I understand, and because I'm there in their heart, that they're hearing about me, glorifying me, I'm very pleased. Then he enlightens us with how we can further come to him. And then the last verse is very nice. Out of Tesham evan akampartam aham jnana jamtamahan nashiyam yatma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvata. He says there that and this word anukampa is so great, because when you study, what is kampa? Kampa is one of the ecstatic symptoms, trembling, right? So anukampa means trembling in sympathy to someone else who's trembling, right? Anukampa means following. So Krishna, he's compassionate to us, so he's tuned in to our feelings. So out of compassion, Tesham evanakama ahama jnanajam tamaha nashiyam. I destroy the darkness of ignorance in the heart with the shining lamp of knowledge. He's there in the heart as a super soul. He's giving us all this knowledge. But what kind of knowledge? Tesham ahama jnanajam nashiyam yatma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvata. But knowledge by which they can come to me. You see? And then Arjuna responds, he says, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavittam. You are the Supreme Brahman, you see. Supreme Purifier, like that. Very important section of the Bhagavad Gita. So in his role as the Super Soul, the one who knows me as the Purushottama, the Supreme Person, he knows everything. Now what does this mean, everything? Obviously we don't know everything. No individual soul can know everything like Krishna knows everything. But it's made clear in the purport that it means everything that you need to know in order to progress in devotional service. And you see everything through the eyes of knowledge. You don't just like the famous line, I forget the Bengali, in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana, I think it is, that a realized soul, fully Krishna conscious, doesn't just see a tree. He sees Krishna. Why? Because there's the soul in there, there's a super soul in that body, and the very body of the tree is made of wood, boomer, apple. Everywhere he sees Krishna and Krishna's energies. Here in the form of a tree, there in the form of a car. How did the car get built? Well, Krishna gave the intelligence, a whole bunch of engineers, somebody mined all the things and got the ingredients. Everything that went into that car is Krishna's energy. And Krishna's direct giving of intelligence to how to do it. So where is there no Krishna? There's a Krishna everywhere, right? Everywhere is Krishna's energy. And Krishna himself in the form of the Super Soul, or the holy name, the deities like that. So that's what it means to be asamudho. It means without doubt, without... knows me, one who knows me, who has faith that I am the Supreme Personality without doubt, is a knower of everything. Everything spiritual, everything you need to go back to Godhead. He therefore engages himself fully in devotion, O son of Bharata. Did I read this purport already? I didn't, right? Purport. There are many philosophical speculations about the constitutional position of the living entities and the Supreme Absolute Truth. Now in this verse, the Supreme Personality of Godhead clearly explains that anyone who knows Lord Krishna to be the Supreme Person is actually the knower of everything. The imperfect knower goes on simply speculating about the absolute truth, but the perfect knower, without wasting his valuable time, engages directly in Krishna consciousness. I read it. Sounds familiar. Text 20. Iti guyatamam shastram idamuktam mayanaga etad mudva buddhiman syat kritakridyasta bharata. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to fall down to the bodily platform for a minute and ask you to please turn the heat off, because I think it's warm enough. Hare Krishna. Okay. So, this is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. So, what is that confidential part? Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in the full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. That's the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures. Purport. The Lord clearly explains here that this is the substance of all revealed scriptures, and one should understand this as it is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus one will become intelligent and perfect in transcendental knowledge. In other words, by understanding this philosophy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engaging in his transcendental service, everyone can become freed from all contaminations of the modes of material nature. Devotional service is a process of spiritual understanding. Wherever devotional service exists, the material contamination cannot coexist. Devotional service to the Lord and the Lord himself are one and the same. Because they are spiritual, because they are spiritual, devotional service takes place within the internal energy of the Supreme Lord. The Lord is said to be the sun, and ignorance is called darkness. Where the sun is present, there is no question of darkness. Therefore, whenever devotional service is present under the proper guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, there is no question of ignorance. So this is the motto of the Back to Godhead magazine. We now are getting these Back to Godheads. I think everyone can check it out. If you see at the top, there is the motto, which is a translation of a verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hoy Andakar Yahan Krishna Tahanahi Maya Adhikar. Krishna is like the sun, Maya is like the greatest darkness. Wherever the son of Krishna is there, then darkness Maya cannot prevail, or something like that. That's the equivalent. And so that's what this is all about is that, well, how can we come out of the darkness? We have to allow that sun to shine in. We have to be receptive to the message, this knowledge that's being given to us directly by Krishna here, and also, more importantly, by his representative. And then that's Prabhupada is paraphrasing here. Everyone must take to this consciousness of Krishna and engage in devotional service to become intelligent and purified. Unless one comes to this position of understanding Krishna and engages in devotional service, however intelligent he may be in the estimation of some common man, he is not perfectly intelligent. The word anaga, by which Arjuna is addressed, is significant. Anaga, O sinless one, means that unless one is free from all sinful reactions, it is very difficult to understand Krishna. One has to become free from all contamination, all sinful activities. Then he can understand. But devotional service is so pure and potent that once one is engaged in devotional service, he automatically comes to the stage of sinlessness. While one is performing devotional service in the association of pure devotees in full Krishna consciousness, there are certain things which require to be vanquished altogether. The most important thing one has to surmount is weakness of the heart. The first fall down is caused by the desire to lord it over material nature. Thus one gives up the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord. The second weakness of the heart is that one increases the propensity to lord it over material nature. That as one increases the propensity to lord it over material nature, he becomes attached to matter and the possession of matter. The problems of material existence are due to these weaknesses of the heart. In this chapter, the first 5 verses describe the process of freeing oneself from these weaknesses of heart. And the rest of the chapter, from the 6th verse through the end, discusses Purushottama Yoga. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 15th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of Purushottam Yoga, the yoga of the Supreme Person. So, any questions on that chapter? Yes, Prabhu. Oh, give him the mic. It's right there. This one will work.
The last paragraph is a little confusing to me. So they're saying that while performing devotional service, we can sort of contaminate the act through wrong,
Well,
through sort of wrong.
well, the weakness of heart. He said that's the next sentence, right? While one is performing devotional service in association of pure devotees in full Krishna consciousness, there are certain things which require to be vanquished altogether. The most important thing one has to surmount is the weakness of heart. So, is that what you're looking for an explanation?
Yeah, no, but that's like, I mean, to me that's general, like weakness of the heart. I kind of get what they're saying, but like how does that manifest in the actual real world?
The way it manifests, because he's talking about, the actually associating with devotees and being on the path of sadhana bhakti. You're not perfect yet, but you're moving in the right direction, right? So at this point, when Prabhupada is writing this, 66, I believe, and dictating at this point. So he's in the 22nd Avenue. He's seeing the process working. He's tried to get things going. It took a while, and the history. And finally, he was able to get something going. And now he's got some sincere followers who are practicing. So he's also seeing that some of them come, and there's some that went. They didn't make it. They maybe stayed for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Whatever. And so, what is it? Why do some fail? And why are some succeeding? And weakness of heart means that we have all of these conditioned tendencies, in our conditioned state, and now we're finding there's a whole way of living and of understanding where we are, how we fit into the material world, and what's really valuable, and where real pleasure is. In other words, the whole world of Krishna consciousness is opening up, and sadhana bhakti means trying to follow that path, bhakti marga. In such a way that we can more and more approach that reality that we have faith in, because we see the example in Prabhupada, we read it in the books, and we're feeling hints of it in kirtan and when we full Krishna consciousness. But still, we have our old conditioning pulling us away. So the weakness of heart means that you haven't really been able to become fully determined to give up those things which are fully give up those things which are seriously impeding, and fully take on those things which are maybe difficult a little bit, but which are the only way to do it, the only way to advance. It's just like in any path, you want to become I had various, because I was pretty athletic, so first I was going to be a basketball player in high school. I was really into it in 8th grade. I mean, right in the winter there, I was living in Long Island, I would go out and go out to the public, things. And then I get to high school, But then I found out that I didn't want to do it. It was too much. It was too time consuming, because I was trying to study, get into a good college and everything. But I knew that's what was necessary. If I really wanted to be on the basketball team, I'd have to surrender to the practices and the scheduling and all of the difficulty, and everything, in order to develop the skills to do it. So that's true of anything you want to achieve. There's always a path and a goal, and you have to accept discipline and authority, a coach or a spiritual master. So the weakness of heart means that you're not able to overcome the influence of your conditioning, of your lower self. It's nicely described in the 2nd chapter. We have this hierarchy. There's the soul, then the intelligence, and the mind, and the senses. You see. And yoga means to discipline the lower self by the higher self. And that means strengthening the intelligence. That famous this verse I love to chant, that in how many ways have I sought to obey the seductive demands of my wicked desires. Just that one line in there is like that. That's what it means to be conditioned. You're a servant of your lower desires. desires for sensual activity and for name and fame and all these different things. So Krishna consciousness means that we don't want to obey those anymore. We're getting a higher demand. No, the spiritual master and our intelligence. See, this is the key, the intelligence. That's what differentiates us from the animals. Animals can't, they don't have even the desire to overcome the lower self. They have no idea. They're just living according to instinct, the safety, and eating, and opposite sex, eating, sleeping, mating, depending. So, but when you're able to purify strengthen the intelligence by hearing from the right source, hearing the right thing from the right source, and that's what Prabhupada gave us in his books and personally, then Krishna gives us, as he explained in this chapter, and also as the Super Soul, and also those verses I quoted, that those who understand that he is the Supreme Soul of all, Aham Sarvasya Bhagavo, have great faith in that, I give them the intelligence by which they can come to me. What do? Machita, they're thinking of me, their life energy, they're serving me, and they meet with others and discuss me and glorify me. This is very potent. This is why association is so important. So it's a battle, an internal battle, really, for everyone who's trying to follow this path. How serious am I? How much do I really believe this? And how much do I believe that somehow I could also do it? That aspect of faith has also that element in it. Yeah, it all sounds really good, but I don't think I can do it, And if you really don't believe it, then you maybe stay on the margins, you like the devotees and everything, but you never really get serious. So to succeed, it's a real challenge. That's why there's this thing of, oh yeah, will you come back? Maybe we have come back. Maybe we did a little bit less, birth, and we're doing a little more this birth. So that you once you get into it, you're on the path. It may take you 100 births, but you're not going back. That's the idea. But anyway, that's what's meant there. There's certain things which require to be vanquished all over. The most is the weakness of heart. So the strong will and the ability to overcome the lower self and say, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do this. It's time to chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. And then while you're chanting, you say no to the minds. I'm not going to think that. Let me think Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. And there's all kinds of aids you can have. I remember you can write japa. It's very absorbing. Look at the japa. There's even a name for it, where you can imagine how absorbed you have to be. Otherwise, that's not the Hare Krishna mantra. What was I thinking of when I wrote that? I didn't get it. So that's one way of forcing the mind to think of it. So this is really the internal struggle that all devotees have, to some degree or another. Because it's also a question of how fast you want to go forward. If I realize, I have to give up A, B, C, and D if I really want to advance, And you give up A and you give up B, but C is so hard, I don't think I can do it. Well, maybe in time I'll do it, so you can get So it's internal. There's a lot of internal struggle. But the goal, you realize it's the only goal that's really worth fighting for, because all of the goals are temporary. You may become the president, you may become wealthy, but that's will be swept away by time. But your advancement in Krishna consciousness, whatever you make, is never swept away. Krishna preserves it. So that's what I understand. It's a very important thing. Huh? Yeah, but you have to get the mic. We only have one working mic these days. I think the other one's in there.
Hare Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada said in the second weakness of the heart is material attachment, which is obviously very challenging to get past. So
we've built that up over many lifetimes. And just taking birth in the material world means that you've got some material desires that you want to fulfill. You're conditioned. That's what the conditioning is. So the whole process, when you think about it, is purification of the desire. That's the whole thing. Because what do we do? We're moving. We have so many things happening automatically. I'm not thinking, I have to breathe. You forget about it, but. If you can't breathe, that's the one and only desire that you have at that point, right? So your desires, I mean, we have a million different things, but how to, like, this is a wonderful verse in the 11th canto. Kayena vacha manasindriyava buddhyapnava anusapalat karoti yadyat sakalam parasmai narayanayeti samarpayetam. This is a description of a realized soul. Oh my God. Okay, I went over time. We'll resume on Monday. I'll finish the sentence on Monday. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Oh boy. Completely lost track.